The sky above the North Atlantic churned with an energy no scientist could name. What first appeared to be an unusually violent electromagnetic storm quickly grew into something else entirely. Lightning forked across the heavens in patterns that defied the natural flow of weather, arcing in complex spirals as though a hidden hand was sketching equations in the clouds. Inside the command center of the Air Shielding Alliance, a cluster of veteran pilots received the scramble order before dawn's first light. Among them was Captain Ryan Keller, a seasoned F-22 Raptor pilot whose instincts had kept him alive through dozens of high-risk missions. His aircraft, sleek and almost otherworldly in the dark, had been fitted with a prototype plasma shield generator, a technology barely tested in controlled environments, now thrust into the chaos of a sky gone mad. As the Raptors climbed through layers of boiling atmosphere, their instruments faltered. Radar flickered, altimeters jumped like frightened animals, and communications came in stuttering bursts. Keller's HUD flickered with static, then cleared just long enough to show the erratic path of the storm's center, a vortex where electromagnetic waves pulsed like a heartbeat. The prototype shield shimmered around the F-22's fuselage, an invisible dome bending the storm's fury. Even so, he felt every lurch of violent turbulence through the stick. His wingwoman, Lieutenant Carla Mendoza, reported that she was losing power to her secondary systems. "Stay tight," Keller said, his voice steady though his knuckles whitened. "We hold formation no matter what." The squadron pressed deeper until a strange signal cut through the static, a rhythmic sequence of pulses that no one had programmed. It wasn't random, it was a message. In the operations room thousands of miles below, technicians scrambled to interpret the signal, but the pattern eluded every algorithm. The storm itself seemed to respond, spiraling tighter as if aware of their presence. Keller's heart hammered as he caught the faintest glimpse of something within the clouds, a glimmer, not of lightning, but of structure. For a fraction of a second he swore he saw a geometric lattice floating inside the vortex. Then it vanished, leaving only the roar of wind and the unsteady green glow of his instruments. The squadron completed their reconnaissance run, but no one could explain the phenomenon. They returned to base with more questions than answers, carrying the unshakable feeling that what they had encountered was not born of nature. By the time the storm shifted its fury toward Europe, governments across the continent were already on high alert. Over Germany, the Eurofighter EF2000 units were ordered into the sky. These aircraft, with their agile delta wings and cutting-edge sensor fusion, had been upgraded with adaptive stealth skins capable of bending light and radar alike. Flight leader Major Sophia Dietrich felt the tension the moment she left the runway. The storm's leading edge looked like a living wall, black and seething, and the interference on her displays grew worse the closer she flew. Yet her sensors picked up something distinct, a moving target traveling against the wind, buried deep within the electromagnetic chaos. She signaled her squad to follow as they cut through air that shimmered with static. Lightning illuminated the clouds in pulses of blue-white, and there, framed in a split-second flash, was a craft unlike anything they had trained against. It moved with eerie precision, tilting and banking in ways no aerodynamic design should allow. Dietrich fired a low-power tracking pulse, but the unknown machine responded instantly, twisting away and vanishing as if it had dissolved into the storm itself. The EF-2000s gave chase, their engines screaming as they pushed into dangerous turbulence. The storm felt almost alive, currents shifting like the coils of some great serpent. The mysterious intruder reappeared only briefly, and each time it did, the electromagnetic readings spiked beyond known scientific limits. Dietrich's instinct screamed that this was no human technology. By the time the storm began to dissipate over the Baltic coast, the phantom craft was gone, leaving only fragmented sensor data and a lingering dread. In the debriefing room hours later, when the team replayed the recorded signals, the same rhythmic pulse detected by the F-22 squadron echoed back at them, like the steady beat of an intelligence waiting to be understood. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, a covert U.S. facility pulsed with restless energy as engineers prepared their most ambitious prototype for its first live mission. The F-16Z stood at the center of the hangar like a predator poised to strike, its sleek silhouette glinting beneath rows of harsh floodlights. Unlike any F-16 before it, this aircraft carried quantum-resistant avionics and an experimental energy weapon mounted discreetly beneath its fuselage. Test pilot Commander Aidan Brooks walked slowly around the fighter, running a gloved hand along the newly engineered composite skin that seemed to swallow the light. He could feel the tension in the air, the awareness that the storm now raging over the Atlantic was no longer a simple weather event. Satellite images showed a vast, swirling mass of dark plasma expanding outward in an almost purposeful pattern. The familiar rhythmic pulse first captured by the F-22s and EF-2000s had grown stronger and more defined, like a beacon calling challengers into its heart. The briefing was terse. Brooks and his squadron would launch before dawn to penetrate the storm's core and collect definitive data. Their mission was to deploy a counter-frequency device designed to disrupt the unknown signal if they could get close enough. The F-16Z's advanced sensor suite and next-generation shielding made it the only aircraft theoretically capable of surviving the electromagnetic chaos. As the desert night gave way to the first pale streaks of morning, the squadron lifted off, afterburners flaring in a synchronized blaze. They streaked eastward into a sky that darkened too quickly, the storm's edge rising like a wall of living shadow over the ocean. Crossing into the swirling mass, their instruments began to betray them. Radar screens turned to static and digital readouts flickered wildly. The strange pulse came through their headsets like a low heartbeat, steady and hypnotic. Brooks gritted his teeth and focused on visual navigation, the storm's interior a maelstrom of lightning and writhing black clouds. At the center of the vortex lay a sphere of dark plasma, glowing faintly from within as if lit by an unseen sun. The energy field distorted both light and sound, making distance and scale impossible to judge. Communication collapsed completely, leaving only the unspoken trust between pilots. Brooks led the dive, guiding his F-16Z into the core, where the very air seemed to bend. The counter-frequency device activated with a deep, resonant hum, and for a heartbeat the storm recoiled, lightning twisting outward in an enormous spiral. But the plasma sphere fought back, discharging bursts of electromagnetic energy that battered their shields and threatened to tear the fighters apart. Instinct replaced instruments. Brooks followed only the flicker of his wingman's lights as they completed the data sweep and raced back toward the outer atmosphere, engines howling against the storm's fury. The world watched anxiously as the Atlantic sky became a theater of strange and terrible beauty. With the counter-frequency data in hand, the Air Shielding Alliance launched a final joint mission. The F-22 Raptors took position along the storm's perimeter, their plasma shields forming a defensive ring against the surging electromagnetic tides. Eurofighter EF2000s executed precision maneuvers to strike key nodes of the anomaly, their adaptive stealth skins rippling as they released bursts of focused energy calibrated from the F-16Z's data. Brooks and his squadron plunged once more into the storm's heart, the counter-frequency device now refined into a weapon of resonance. The rhythmic pulse intensified, almost sentient, and for a fleeting instant every pilot sensed the presence of something vast and aware watching through the chaos. The device released its full charge, a wave of counter-vibration that tore through the storm like an unseen blade. The plasma sphere collapsed inward, shrinking into a single blinding point before vanishing in a silent flash. Sudden stillness followed, the sky clearing with almost unnatural speed. One by one, the aircraft emerged into the dawn, battered but intact. As emergency crews welcomed them back to base, scientists pored over the fragments of exotic material left drifting where the storm had been. Their composition defied known physics, a riddle of elements and energies no earthly process could produce. The data hinted at an intelligence beyond Earth, perhaps testing the planet's defenses or merely signaling its existence. For the pilots, the victory was tempered by a quiet unease, for in the fading echo of that final pulse, they could still hear the steady beat of something waiting, patient and far from finished.